Welcome to Public Health on Call, a podcast from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, where we bring evidence, experience, and perspective to make sense of today's leading health challenges. If you have questions or ideas for us, please send an email to publichealthquestion@jhu.edu. That's publichealthquestion@jhu.edu for future podcast episodes.
Hey listeners, it's Lindsay Smith-Rogers. Today, food as a bridge to public health. Devonne Franklin is the Executive Director of Community and Associate Wellbeing of the Y in Central Maryland, where Shikera Shelton works running the Fresh Mart at the Druid Hill Y. They joined Dr. Josh Sharfstein to talk about a program that distributes food in multiple communities and how it's become a platform for community health. Let's listen.
Devonne Franklin, Shikera Shelton, thank you so much for joining me today, Public Health on Call. We're actually recording this in the studio, which is really fun. Really appreciate you coming across town to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Josh. It's very excited.
Thank you so much.
Now, you both work at the Y of Central Maryland. Let me ask you this, Devonne. What is the Y of Central Maryland?
And thank you. We're a place that is for all people. We focus on wellness and well-being. So we operate under the principles of caring, honesty, respect, and responsibility. So that means that under that, we definitely have our gym and swims, which many people know us for. But we also operate community schools. So we have community school coordinators in many schools in Baltimore City. We also support community school coordinators in the county through technical assistance and development. We also operate Head Start programs, various social responsibility programs like our Fresh Mart, our food access work, as well as our long-term housing solution, Geraldine Young Family Life Center. Many people know our camps. We do a lot of stuff.
Deeply involved in the fabric of Baltimore and emerged out of the YMCA world.
Yes, most definitely. Really the continuum of life from cradle to career, we are involved at some point.
We're going to talk about the food programs that you mentioned, but before we get there, I want to ask Shikera about your experience. Where do you work in that whole network that Devonne was just describing?
So I'm a part of the community health team, and I also manage the Fresh Mart at the Y in Druid Hill. So that means that we connect families to fresh produce, nutrition, and food access on the food pantry side.
Now, Devonne, the Y has a lot to do. You walk through all these different programs that the Y of Central Maryland's doing. Why food as one of them?
Thank you. So for one, according to the Maryland Food Bank, 1 in 3 Marylanders are food insecure. So we saw that heavily during COVID when we first started our first Fresh Mart, that people needed food and we wanted to stand in the gap. We quickly found that food was kind of a meeting spot for people. Wherever food was, people came. So we definitely wanted to feed the immediate need of, feeding bellies and making sure that if we put food in bellies, it was healthy foods. So being intentional in that way. But also we realized that if we're going to have people coming on a consistent basis who needed food, we had to understand that food was a symptom of other needs. And we felt the responsibility to assess those needs through the social determinants of health assessments, but also connect people with resources through our community that we already had access to. The Y partners with so many different agencies and people across Maryland and even beyond so that we can stay on the cutting edge of doing what's right for people.
Let me ask you, Shikera, how does food tend to come up in conversations with people that you're interacting with, like at a resource fair, or like what is that conversation?
Many people have questions around, who could come? And I try to let them know that
Who could come get food?
Who could come get food? Do we have healthy produce? Do we have vegetables? And do we give meat? Because at some pantries, they don't give out meat. And I let them know that anyone could come get the food, unlike the traditional pantries where they go by zip codes sometimes. Sometimes they say you can only come if you come from a certain district. This pantry opens up to everyone. Anyone could come get the food. So that's the questions that's usually asked.
Do you ask people about the challenges that they have getting food and how do you go about doing that, in a way that brings them in?
It's not easy. You have to build trust. You have to build trust and start engaging with them. And once they start coming and seeing you and trusting you and knowing that you're going to be there for them, then they'll start opening up to those questions that you just asked about. And then just reassuring them that we're there, we're a nutrition hub, we're going to be there to help them get the food that they need.
And Devonne, could you explain the Fresh Mart program and how it works?
So the Fresh Mart program really starts with receiving food primarily from the Maryland Food Bank. We are open at least twice a week, 3 days a week at the Y in Druid Hill, where people can come up and just sign a piece of paper saying, I need food, and their name, and they are able to shop, much like a grocery store, to pick the things that they really want and need.
So you don't just give the same bag to everybody?
No, we don't. We very much so are against doing that. We for dignity purposes, for being responsible stewards of food and resources, it's just good across the board to make sure that food is going in the hands of people who are actually going to eat it, so that we can spread out food to as many people as necessary.
How many of these sites do you have? How many people come to them?
We have 4 different Fresh Marts across Maryland. So the Y in Druid Hill, the Y in Parkville, the Y in Pasadena, and the Hill Y in Westminster all operate Fresh Marts. The Y in Druid Hill is our heaviest attended, with about, do you want to speak on how many people?
Yes, on Mondays, we usually see about 30 to 35 people. It's mostly because we cater to our seniors on Mondays, but anybody can still come and get it. And then on Tuesdays, we see a heavy population of people, around 65 to 75 families. And then on Saturdays, the same thing. So at least 200 families per week.
Yeah, we do encourage people to come once a week. So generally, the number of people we see during the week, about 100 to 200 people, depending on the site. Where our smallest site, the least utilized, would be the Y in Westminster, and mostly because it's so spread out. So we're still trying to figure out ways to get food to more remote areas in that space, but they're still seeing about 50 people a week.
Do you ever have young people coming in, or is that more rare?
Yeah, we have people of all ages coming in. It's never rare to see young people come in, and to see middle-aged people come in, to see seniors come in. So it's a heavy rotation of population of people.
I'm sure just getting food from you is incredibly important for all those you're talking about. Do you provide any other support around food and nutrition for them?
Yes. In fact, in many different ways we do. Shikera does a really good job of providing recipes for certain items that families might not really understand how to use. But we also have an initiative called Familyhood Chef, where shout out to Nate at the Y in Druid Hill. He's our resident chef, and he loves to teach our community how to cook meals without meat, particularly. I know recently he did a spaghetti squash recipe just last week. It was delicious. But yeah, we definitely try to be intentional about teaching our community how to prepare meals in simple ways so that they can actually get the benefits of the nutrition that we're providing to them.
And Shikera, do you get into nutrition for specific conditions like diabetes?
Diabetes prevention, yes. So like things like jackfruit and squash, as she just now said. We try to do recipes on them, cut them out, put them in the bags. So if people come up not knowing what to do with it or how to use it, it's already in a bag for them to be able to use or to, cook something for their family.
We also operate diabetes prevention programs at the Y in Central Maryland. They're year-long programs that allow those who have been diagnosed as pre-diabetic to have a group intervention to learn about how they can eat better and live healthier lives, to move more, and ultimately not experience diabetes ever. That is our goal.
And so making the food available is kind of a partner program.
It's a tier 1 support to anyone in our programs, whether they're a member or not, to have access to healthy foods.
You mentioned that you use food as the starting place for a conversation. Can you explain, Devonne, more what you mean by that?
Yes. So we've started inviting our partners in who represent the most egregious needs that we're finding in our social determinants of health assessments. So when we have our Fresh Marts open, we like to pair them specifically at the Y in Druid Hill on Tuesdays, where we see the largest group of people. We've had the Maryland Volunteer Lawyers Services come in to talk about expungements and other legal questions people have. We've had people come and talk. We definitely do SNAP education because our team is certified to help people with SNAP applications. And we also talk about mental health needs and various other needs that come up. We try to make sure that if people are in front of us, to get food, they're also leaving with some education that could help them get out of the line, which a lot of times does help. We see that some of the people who come in to shop turn out to be our volunteers because this effort is volunteer run. Shikera is the only person on our Fresh Mart team who is paid.
Shikera, any stories come to mind about people who've gotten other kinds of assistance when they're coming in for food and it helps them get out of the line?
Absolutely. I just had this young man where he first came to us. We did a social determinants of health assessment on him. We found out that he didn't have anywhere to stay. We got him room and board at a house across the street. He was just newly employed. I helped him sign up to volunteer throughout Fresh Mart. And now he has a job, he has a house, and he is coming to the Fresh Mart just to volunteer. And sometimes he don't even eat food because I actually signed him up for a SNAP application as well.
Wow, that must be very rewarding to see that arc for somebody really taking advantage of the opportunity that you're giving and then coming back and helping.
It's very rewarding to actually see people get out on their own and be able to, just guide them and then give them the space and say, you got this.
Right. And, we're on a public health podcast. Every single thing you guys are talking about is public health. Not just giving people enough food, helping people feed their families, but helping them with employment, helping them with housing. I'm curious, Devonne, if people are listening and thinking like they want to contribute, not maybe just for our listeners in Central Maryland, but more generally to places like this around the country, what would you advise?
Yeah, I would advise them to support the Y. Go to our website, definitely see what we're doing. There's probably something that touches something in your life that you care about, but we very much so could use funding support for our programs. As I said, Fresh Mart's are volunteer-led. We are paying for food, and it's going to a really good cause.
People can obviously give money, but depending on where they are, they may also be able to donate their time too and help out with these kinds of efforts.
Specifically, if you are in Maryland, we have a whole volunteer site. Once again, go to bymaryland.org and sign up to volunteer in any of our spaces, from youth development to our Fresh Marts and other community events. We would love to have you.
Shikera, I'm going to give you the final word. How do you think about your role in making the community healthier?
I think that I am there just to build a bridge and a gap to help our neighbors just build what they need in order to, I guess, just go upon living a healthy living. So that means being there for them, just being there for them.
That is very well said. And I think I really appreciate your coming to the podcast, sharing the work that you're doing in really important ways. So thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Public Health on Call is a podcast from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, produced by Joshua Sharfstein, Lindsay Smith-Rogers, Stephanie Desmond, and Rachel Walsh. Audio production by Michael Bonfils, Matthew Martin, and Philip Porter, with support from J.B. Arbogast, Spencer Greer, and Chip Hickey. Distribution and social media by Rachel Walsh, with support from Nick Moran and Brianna Iacovelli. Follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at Public Health Pod for more public health takes and special content. If you have questions or ideas for us, please send an email to publichealthquestion@jhu.edu. That's publichealthquestion@jhu.edu for future podcast episodes. Thank you for listening.